Welcome to Body by Design. I'm your host, Blue Driver, a women's strength training and metabolism coach. I went from years suffering hormone imbalances, looking soft and bloated, to symptom-free and building muscle for a toned athletic physique. Since then, I've made it my mission to empower women to take control of their own health, hormones and body composition. So grab a cup of coffee and let's build your body by design. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I wanted to talk this week about the war that seems to go on Instagram around losing weight is about calories in, calories out, versus it's much more complex than that. And I think this is really confusing to so many women out there who are desperately trying to manage their weight, feel better, balance their hormones, get through perimenopause, be told that it's all normal, all of these things. And then we're having all this conflicting advice around what's the best way to achieve fat loss. And this is what a large percentage of people are trying to do. The best thing we can do is change our body composition. Though you may need fat loss, one of the best things we can do is actually build muscle. We are an under-muscled society. And there is the whole thing around muscle is good for brain health, it's good for longevity, it's good for hormone balance, and then obviously aesthetically enhances your look too. And most of the time when I talk to women and the look that they want to feel healthy, they want their hormones to be balanced, and they want that toned look. And even a toned look requires a fair bit of muscle, a lot more muscle than what people require. So I will always be advocating for more muscle and strength training. But I do acknowledge that the way society has gone and the way our modern world is, where we move a lot less, everything is automated, a lot of processed convenience foods, we have just lost touch with what our biology needs as humans to actually function well, that we are an overweight society. We are under-muscled but overweight. So we do have body fat to lose. So if you are in that camp of needing to lose body fat, yes, we need to grow muscle, but to put that aside for one moment and focus on the fat loss, which I don't like to talk about losing weight and fat loss and calorie deficits and all those sorts of things too much and put too much of an emphasis on that, because we just don't put enough emphasis on strength training and nutrient dense foods and correcting our lifestyle and living in a better way. But there is a need at some point for a lot of women to reduce the body fat for health reasons, to get the look that they want, to feel more confident and comfortable. So I want to touch on that today and go through the war of calories in, calories out versus it's actually your metabolism, your hormones and all that sort of stuff affecting it. I think when we look at things fundamentally and strip them back, there are a lot of coaches out there going on evidence-based, and it's about calories. There was absolutely a ward study done where everybody's food was absolutely controlled to the calorie, to the serve. Everyone was given the same. When they are, and all visitors and everything were all monitored. And when they're actually put in an extremely controlled environment like that, and they truly are only consuming 1,200 calories, they all lost weight. There are many people out there that are like, oh, but I'm on 1,200 calories and I'm not losing weight. I think when people track, the first thing that they do is go, oh my God, I didn't realize how much fat I was actually eating, or I didn't really realize how I wasn't balancing my blood sugar. And yeah, most of the time I eat only 1,200 calories, but then I binge. So what actually were your week's worth of calories averaged out at? Studies show and evidence shows that calories in, calories out is what drives weight loss. So for the coaches and influencers out there that are driving, you must be in a calorie deficit to lose weight, 100% true. This really is the fundamental of it. It's about energy balance. Now, the deficit can be created in multiple ways. A deficit can be created via calorie reduction, or it can be created by increasing activity, by increasing your steps, increasing the intensity and frequency of your training, because that all requires more energy. So the more energy you burn, the more calories you need to sustain maintenance. So you can actually create a deficit with increasing your activity as well. So again, it goes back to, though, it creates a caloric deficit, and that will always be how you lose weight. But here's the thing. The ones that are looking at metabolism and hormones and all these other things, that's actually true too. So your metabolism has downregulated. And to be clear, our metabolisms aren't broken. It's not an unfixable thing. Our bodies are amazing, amazing beings that adapt. So when our metabolism is slow and we're burning a lot less calories and we require less calories to sustain a maintenance weight, it's because we're downregulated. But just as quickly as our bodies can downregulate, our bodies can also upregulate if they are fed the right nutrition and given the right energy inputs and supported in the right way. You can actually rev up your metabolism, increase your metabolism, whatever words you want to use, you actually can do that. So your metabolism isn't broken. So calories in, calories out will absolutely drive your weight loss. The quality of the calories will drive how you feel. So not just the macros, but the micronutrients that you're putting into your body. So you can hit macros. Yep, okay, you can hit your protein and you can hit your carbs and you can hit your fat. But if you're doing that with a lot of packaged foods, seed oils, increased fat, and not providing yourself with enough glucose, that sort of stuff, additives, preservatives, a lot of just carbohydrate that is not got a lot of nutrients in it, like sugar's not bad, but sugar has no nutrients in it. So sugar is a great way to get some carbohydrates into you in an already nutrient-rich diet. So I wouldn't be cutting sugar from coffee if I enjoy sugar in coffee, but I eat lots of fruit and dairy and meats, and I get so much nutrients from all the foods that I eat that a teaspoon of sugar in my coffee is certainly not going to hurt me. So sugar is not the devil. But if you eat just purely sugar, or foods that are predominantly sugars or wheat that really has no nutrition in it, your micronutrients, your minerals, then you are going to feel like dog shit, pretty much. And when you feel terrible, you don't want to move. So then what happens? Your energy output, because your steps are lower because you can't be bothered going for a walk, or when you actually sit down, you're not got that fidget about you. You might see a plate sitting there that needs to go in the dishwasher, and when you've got good energy, you go, great, I'll get up and put that in the dishwasher. When you feel like dog shit all the time and you get to the end of the day and you see that plate sitting there, you go, I'll do it later. So your natural energy output becomes lower. So therefore, your caloric needs are lower. So therefore, to be in a deficit, you would require less calories compared to someone eating a nutrient-dense diet. It's one of the reasons why I'm able to eat a lot of calories. Yes, my energy output is high, but my metabolism works well, and I have a natural energy and fidget about me, which again adds to my energy output. So calories in, calories out will always determine fat loss. The quality of those calories beyond macros will determine how you feel. And how we feel and how our body operates will drive our metabolism, our energy systems, our function. And when our function is downregulated, we require fewer calories, because that's literally what it's doing. It's down regulating, it's shutting down systems so it can funnel what nutrients it is getting into the vital things to keep you alive, like your brain function, your cardio, your respiratory. We all need that to live. Our body is built to survive. So if it wants to survive, it's going to take what nutrients and minerals it's getting and funnel it there first as a priority. If it's not getting enough to run your hormones, your body to support a baby, or your hormones are going to downregulate. This is your thyroid issues. And when your thyroid function is low, your metabolism is low, your energy output is low. So therefore, your caloric needs are lower. So again, you will need less calories than someone else, and therefore your caloric deficit will be a lot lower in a total number compared to someone like myself that is eating really nutrient-dense foods. Then we add on top, obviously, that goes on for long enough, and we literally start getting health issues. So hormone balance and all this sort of stuff comes into it. We're talking about Hashimoto's, endometriosis, thyroid function. There's lots of issues that we've got cropping up here. But again, when you talk to coaches that specialize in those areas, the first thing they go to rectify these issues, dense foods. They look at your diet, they look at your lifestyle, reducing stress, those sorts of things. And they will do that before they put you in to a fat loss phase or a deficit, because your body requires adequate nutrition. It doesn't want to be under more stress to lose weight. So the whole argument of it's more than just calories in, calories out. Well, no, to lose weight, it's not. It literally is calories in, calories out. However, to do it in a way that you're going to feel good, where your health is going to improve, where you don't need to go so low that you're depriving your body of vital nutrients to keep functions going, where your metabolism starts to downregulate. That is about the quality of food and the current state of your body at the time. So I think the answer to this is it's both. You really need to look at both. One of the starting points that you should be looking at when you want to lose weight and you're desperate to move that belly fat. Let's look at perimenopause. So many of the women that I coach are in that 40+ age bracket where the perimenopause symptoms are kicking in, or they're just into menopause and they're holding belly fat. They've got the hot flushes. They feel terrible, low energy, low sex drive. But again, comes back to, that belly fat. I think I'm holding belly fat because of my hormones. It's not actually holding belly fat because of your hormones. Your weight is creeping on because the quality of your diet is not sufficient enough to provide your body with all the nutrients it needs to drive the energy systems in your body, such as reproduction, thyroid, cardio, respiratory, everything that we need, that it starts to downregulate. And as your metabolism is downregulating, your caloric needs are less, so the less than what it used to be. You also feel terrible, so you tend to just use less. Look at me right now. If you're actually watching this and not just listening, my hands are moving. I'm a hand talker. And that is something that your body would naturally drop when you have low energy. When your body is trying to conserve, it will take those those small movements that you're doing throughout the day and downregulate you. And you actually, not knowingly, you're not doing those sorts of things. So what does that do? Lowers your energy requirement. So we go back to the calories in, calories out. You've actually added that weight because, yes, your metabolism has downregulated, but it comes back to the food. So it is calories in, calories out that your weight is creeping on, not because of your hormones, but you have got hormone symptoms, poor hormone symptoms from lack of nutrients, which then reduces your energy, which then means you need less calories, which then means that you're starting to put the weight on. So it's a bit of a vicious circle, and all of these things need to be addressed. when women come into my coaching, one of the first things we do is optimize. We don't jump straight into that fat loss phase because we're just reducing nutrients once again. So your body is just going to continue to downregulate. So then you just have to eat even less again. And that becomes a bit of a vicious circle. And this is where women are trying to lose weight. They're in this state. They're told calories in, calories out. So they go, okay, I'll reduce my calories. But because they don't have the right nutrients within their body in the first place, their body just tries to match that and go, oh, okay, well, you're giving me even less now. I need to downregulate some more. So you eat less, but the weight keeps creeping on because your body downregulates and you're no longer in a deficit anymore at that lower amount. And it just keeps shifting. And this is why so many women finding it hard in perimenopause to move that belly fat. Then on top of that, because you don't have great nutrients, you're trying to reduce those calories, the nutrients are getting less and less, and then you start getting even worse perimenopause symptoms. So then we go, oh, I must need HRT. Maybe if you actually just gave your body the nutrition it needed to function first, you might be able to avoid the HRT. Now, I'm not saying that HRT doesn't necessarily have a place, but I absolutely 100% believe that nutrition and lifestyle should be addressed first when it comes to stubborn belly fat loss, perimenopause, menopause symptoms, low thyroid function, low sex drive, low energy, brain fog, all those things that we're feeling. We don't need HRT to fix that. We don't need injections to fix our weight loss. If we actually addressed giving our body the nutrition it needed so it didn't keep down-regulating these functions just in a bid to survive, then it would function better. You would start to feel better. You would naturally move better. And then you get yourself into a state where you're able to put yourself into a caloric deficit without it being that low that nutrients are actually compromised. There is a difference between a calorie deficit and a nutrient deficit. So the higher we can get your calories to start, the less you need to get that. You don't have to get down to a lower number. You don't have to go to 1,200 calories to lose weight because you've optimized yourself and now you're able to output energy better. Sometimes just adding walking. I have one client die. She came to me and we put her in a reverse diet because she was only eating around 1,700 calories maybe. So we sorted out swapping over her foods. So they were nutrient-dense foods, so red meats and seafood, root vegetables, fruits, juices, dairy. We did it in a way that balanced her blood sugar and supported her body. And over time, what she saw was her weight starting to go down. We got her to 1,800 calories and all we did was added consistent steps and training and all of a sudden she was in a deficit. So we increased her food and then just bumped up her expenditure, her energy expenditure a bit. And now she's currently in a fat loss phase on more calories that we actually didn't so-called intentionally go, right, now we're going to cut your calories. We just kept pushing her. And when we saw, and her biomarkers are improved. She's got energy. She's managing stress better. Her sleep is better. Her sex drive is better. So with all those things being improved, we didn't feel the need at that point to increase her calories again. 1,800 calories. She's a very short lady at about 150 centimeters, 155, I think it is around there. Very short lady. That 1,800 calories is actually a nice amount, and for her to be in a deficit, but she's feeling good doing that deficit. She's not feeling lethargic doing it. So when women come in, the first thing we look at doing is optimizing their system by swapping foods over to nutrient-rich foods. Beef liver and oysters cover so many vitamins and minerals that we need. Vitamin A, B vitamins, selenium, copper, so many different minerals that are void in a lot of processed foods that we eat, a lot of grain-based foods. So when we add those as part of their weekly meals. So we add beef liver at 100 to 150 grams a week and a dozen oysters a week. Now you can do supplement versions for that. It's like a nature's multivitamin. So those on top of all the other nutrient-dense foods that we swap all their previous foods out for, like nuts, salads, things that, look, nuts and salads and broccoli and cauliflower, yes, they've got nutrients. Sure, they've got nutrients in them, but they're actually not as bioavailable, and they're also very harsh on the gut. And when our gut can't process things well, that's also another place that we don't absorb nutrients as well when our gut is upset. So by removing those and replacing them with other foods that are also filled with those nutrients, but easier for us to digest, our body has availability to them, and our gut calms down and our gut starts absorbing things better for us, that our systems start to upregulate. Our metabolism starts to increase because it goes, oh, wow, we've got energy, we've got the nutrients that we need, vitamin A, vitamin D, B vitamins. I actually sat down one day and went, right, let's take like broccoli and lettuce and all this sort of stuff and serves of what people would have. And then I took serves of what we have in root vegetables and fruits and dairy and meat. I haven't eaten a broccoli or a salad in a very, very long time. Occasionally I have it on the side. It's not like I never have it, but it's not the basis of my diet anymore. I choose more nutrient-rich foods as my predominant foods that I make my meals up out of. And by doing that, when you actually sit down and compare, there's so much more nutrients in it, plus being bioavailable, that your body can't help but function better. So your metabolism starts to upregulate. And with a lot of women, when we do this process of optimization, we also look at things like sunlight and sleep and stress, lots of things like that, blood sugar balance. When we put all those really basic foundations in and our body just starts getting everything it needs, all of a sudden we find we have to start giving them more food and more food and more food, and we bring their food up. Another client, Belinda, who is now going through a cut process, but the first two or 3 months she spent with me, we just kept driving her food up. Now she's quite a tall lady. She came in at 1,800 calories, and in the first couple of weeks sat at 1,800 calories and her weight was maintained. And then all of a sudden it was a slight drop and it was like, hang on, let's bring your food up again. And then there was a drop and it was like, let's bring your food up. Her metabolism just took off. We took her from 1,800 calories to 2,500 calories in 3 months. And now when she's at a deficit, her deficit started at 2,100 calories. It was more than what she was eating before and gaining weight, because we're feeding her body what she needs, and therefore it's burning and utilizing more. She had more energy. She got back into training. She used to train, but then she always felt like that she couldn't. We've started to see her sleep improve, and she's always had a lot of problems with sleeping. So obviously when your sleep isn't great, you don't feel like that you've got energy. Well, now her sleep's starting to improve. She feels like she's got more energy. So then she's naturally getting more steps in without having to try as hard and actually go for an active walk, because she's just more active through the day. Her training intensity has picked up because she's got the energy and the drive to push, because she feels good. So she is still about calories in, calories out. But when she started, her maintenance was 1,800, and to drop her from there, we would have been looking at like 1,400 calories, and that's just crazy. Our body truly needs, at an absolute minimum, 1,400 calories, the average woman, to just survive. And that's not thrive, that's survive. So to put her down there from a nutrients level really is not a great thing to do. And then her metabolism would just try and match it quite quickly. So we've driven her up, and now at 2,500 calories, she was able to go into the first part of her deficit at 2,100. She has since slowed off. Her metabolism has started to downregulate again, which is a natural kind of process in a fat loss phase. About halfway, often you'll get a down regulation and you need to drop the calories a little bit further, but that's why we put this buffer in. So she's down to about 1,900 calories now, but it's pushing that fat loss even more. But at 1,900 calories, she is still getting lots of nutrition in her diet, lots of nutrients, all the vitamins and the minerals that her body requires to function. So therefore, she's keeping the down regulation at bay for longer. It's not as strong. And for someone who suffered with sleep issues, she's not even experiencing any sleep issues at this stage. She's only just starting to feel like I'm starting to feel a little bit tired. Working out's feeling a little bit harder, but she's not got any great energy lag. Now, fat loss phase, it's around 12 to 16 weeks, depending on how long you feel like you can get through. And about halfway point, we've brought down her calories, and she's only just starting to feel some of the effects now of being in a deficit. So these are the ways that we can look at calories in, calories out versus the whole, it's your metabolism and hormones. I'll go back to the HRT thing while I'm here. And I know this was more about, is it calories in, calories out, or is it more than that? So my answer to that is it's both. It really is both, but it's not as complex as it sounds. You always should be looking at nutrition first. Funnel in all the nutrients your body needs to function from a biological level. Then if there's anything left over, you can look at blood tests or extra supports, things like that, which on occasions I've done with my clients. But majority of the time, I would say 98% of the time, we really don't need to. I think in the last 12 months, I've only referred out 2 clients that actually needed more support beyond the, we're looking at your nutrition, we're looking at your blood sugar balance, we're looking at the way you train and training properly and your stress and all those sorts of things, and referring out to someone who's functional, who can actually look at it at a deeper level, because I am not going to promote that I know all about that. That's not me. And those functional nutritionists certainly do have a place, but I don't believe it's ever really your starting point. So calories in, calories out, yes. Hormones and metabolism, well, yes, but it's actually not that complex. Let's just get the foundation started, because even a functional nutritionist will start with, what does your diet look like? What does your exercise look like? What does your stress look like? What is your lifestyle like? Are you getting sun? They are going to look at all those sorts of things as well. So always starting with nutrition. And unfortunately, we're being told now HRT is the answer to women's perimenopause and menopause symptoms. And it's just not necessary majority of the time. We actually can get a lot of relief from these symptoms, because yes, our hormones are changing. We are producing less, but when we give our body what it needs, it can actually go through those fluctuations a lot smoother and reduce those symptoms, because it is a normal part of life. Just like a teenager goes through hormonal fluctuations, we are going to do this in perimenopause, but it just doesn't need to be as rough as what we're given. And we don't necessarily need to be putting more drugs into our body or synthetic hormones into our body to support getting through that, when we haven't even looked at nutrition. So I'm all for, if you've tried everything, HRT can actually be of a benefit. But if you haven't looked at your nutrition and your lifestyle, you're only putting a patch over the top of a much bigger issue, and you will have other symptoms crop up and other health issues crop up later on down the track, because you're going to continue to have a nutrient deficiency in your body, which will present in some other way. The hormones that you're putting in to top up and flatten things out and make yourself feel better might feel good in the moment, but then it gets to a point where that stops working too. And I have a lot of women that come to me that have tried, and it's like it works until it doesn't. So these are the foundations that we should be looking at. So for fat loss, it is calories in, calories out, but if you can actually support your body to upregulate your metabolism first, to get your energy systems functioning first, to get your thyroid functioning properly first, just funnel in all that nutrients that you need. If you can do that first, the deficit required is at a higher number than what it would be when you're starting at a point where you feel like dog shit. And honestly, if you already feel like shit, why do you want to restrict yourself of even more food and feel hungry and terrible when you already feel awful? I couldn't think of anything worse than depriving myself and being constantly hungry and lethargic from that when I already feel like that and make it feel worse. Don't you want to feel good? Isn't losing that body fat, yes, building the muscle, I'll go back to that. I'll always go back and say we need to build the muscle as well, or first, just depending on who you are. But when you lose that body fat, you actually want to feel good too. But if you start from a low base and then go into a deficit, you're going to do more damage. And at the end of it, even if you did look good and were happy with your scale weight number or whatever it was, you would feel worse. And is that worth it? When you actually can have both. And it's the biggest thing that I have taken from this. I hit my 40s and you're told it's downhill from there. I hit my 40s. I built muscle. I lost that body fat and I have no perimenopause symptoms. I'm dealing with all of that fine. I feel great. I look great. I'm better than what I was in my 30s. There's no way at this age I would want to get here and feel worse than what I did in my 30s, because, when I think back in my 30s and when I was raising children, how exhausted, even my kids were great sleepers. So it wasn't a sleep issue. I know that having young children, it can be a sleep issue. Absolutely. My kids were actually really great sleepers. Fuck, I felt awful. I really did. And the hormone, and I was just plagued with hormone symptoms all my menstrual years, endometriosis, chronic thrush, fatigue. I would come home. I thought it was normal. You'd come home and have a nap on the couch before you could get up and cook dinner. And God forbid if those children woke me up after school, before I'd had a half-hour nanny nap to get through the rest of the day. Who wants to feel worse than that? And now I've made it into my 50s and I feel alive again. I feel like I've digressed a little bit from the topic of calories in, calories out, but it really, yes, it is more than calories in, calories out. It's about how we feel. So to lose body fat, you need a deficit. But to actually feel good and for your body to function well and not quickly down-regulate where you're constantly chasing the downward spiral of reducing calories and then adding more cardio and flogging yourself, it's about what those calories are made up of. So it is more at the same time. So we seem to have a big war on Instagram over the two, but I see it as they're very integrated. It's one in the same. And I don't believe that you can be doing one without the other and achieve true health. You can achieve fat loss with just calories in, calories out, but will you achieve true health is the thing. There's also the opposite where people have gone down the path of pro-metabolic eating and think, great, I'm eating all this nutrient-rich food and it's so good for me and I should be eating more, that they don't track, and then they overeat on these nutrient-dense foods and they pack on the weight because they haven't taken in the calories in, calories out portion of this. So the absolute opposite can happen as well, where someone goes, okay, I'm going to start focusing on the quality of my calories and I'm going to get rid of all the polyunsaturated fats and I'm going to eat the beef liver and the oysters and I'm going to have the carrot salad daily. And they probably feel fantastic. I know a lot of them that have come to me have gone and go, I actually feel great, but I've put all this weight on and I can't move it now. But they've missed the part of the equation where it actually is calories in, calories out. You feel great with the calories that you're putting in because you're getting all that nutrition. You've actually just overshot. So start doing some tracking, start doing some extra movement. Movement and putting stresses on the body in that sense is actually good for us at an appropriate time. Another thing in the very strong pro-metabolic community when we're healing ourselves is that, you know, be gentle and kind, and we shouldn't be putting extra stresses on our body. Well, once you actually start feeding your body the right nutrients and you're actually giving it enough and you're balancing your blood sugar, introducing a certain amount of strength training and slowly building up the intensity of it is part of that puzzle too. It's actually good for us to put stresses on our body. It's about recovery from it. So if you're not giving yourself adequate calories and you're not recovering well, then it's another major stressor on your body. And that's where that train of thought comes. But then all of a sudden we get people seeing all this sort of stuff on Instagram and they're taking it out of context and applying it to their circumstances that aren't necessarily the story that that coach was talking about. So I have a lot of people that was like, I thought I should be kind to myself and not train today. No, motherfucker, get out there and move. You need to move. So unless you're actually extremely compromised in your health, a general health journey, you're not going to break yourself by pushing yourself a little bit. So there is that side of it as well, where people have gone down the path of all this nutrient dense food and gained the weight from that because they took out of the equation calories in, calories out. Just because it's good for you doesn't mean that you're not going to put weight on if you eat too much of it. It's as simple as that. You can't go and eat all this, you know, full fat dairy and high carbohydrates and be consuming, you know, 3,000 calories and then going, I'm being kind to myself and I'm not training because it's, you know, it's self-care. You can't eat that many calories and not train and expect not to put the weight on. You might feel good from the nutrition, but yeah, you're gaining weight now. So you've got two sides of the story there, where you can lose the weight and feel like dog shit, or you can feel really good but pack the weight on if you don't take into consideration both parts. Calories in, calories out will always drive your body fat. Training will always drive your muscle, and quality of calories will drive how you feel. So there is 3 factors to it. 3 factors. Calories is your weight, quality of calories is how you feel, and training is your muscle. And they are fundamentals that will never change. And it doesn't matter what part of your health journey you're in, how you add them and how you approach them and at what speed you do that is very it's very nuanced to you and your story and your starting point. So please keep in mind when you look at all of this information on Instagram, it's generalized. So yes, I'm talking about that, but that doesn't mean that you are someone that can automatically go straight to lots of carbohydrates because that's good for you in a pro-metabolic diet. You may have some resistance there and need to build up in your calories. You may have a dairy intolerance that you need to slowly bring in. You may have an exercise intolerance that you've had and you need to actually get your food right and then introduce the training. It doesn't mean that today I'm going to start eating enough calories and then I'll introduce the training. So it really does depend how you layer these things in, and how you tackle them depends on your starting point and your story. So there's nuances to it. But when we look at the overarching, calories will drive your body fat, training will drive your muscle, and quality of calories will drive your health. But how you put that together is speak to a coach that you resonate with. Someone who is looking at those 3 factors holistically, not just one, not just pushing one aspect of it. Find someone who's doing the 3 and make sure they resonate with you, because having a coach really is a relationship. It's not just it shouldn't just be transactional. You actually build a relationship in the way, you know, sometimes you got to get hard feedback. Sometimes you got to get feedback that you don't want to hear. And if you're getting it from someone that you don't gel with or doesn't know how to present things to your type of personality, can really create a lot of friction. and then that's not going to help you as well. So make sure it's someone that resonates with you. Their story might be similar to you. They might be a similar personality. Watch their stories, watch their posts. You'll get that feel for it too. So find someone that resonates with you, that has the approach of all three, and find out how to apply all this free information you see. How do you apply it to you and your story? And that's the individual part of it all. So I hope that has created some clarity for you around the calories in, calories out. No, it's metabolism, hormones, war that seems to go on out there. I'm just going to stay down the middle and go, hey, it's a bit of everything. And I'm going to look at a story individually. And I'm going to go back to what we physiologically need as a human being. We talk about feeding animals, right? Well, as a human being, we weren't out there taking supplements left, right, and center and eating packaged foods back in the day, were we? Let's get back to some basic nutrition, some basic energy output, and understanding energy balance. So I'm going to sit on the fence with this one, and I hope that helps you. As always, if you've got some great takeaways from this, screenshot the podcast, share it on Instagram, and tag me at strengthtraining.nutritionist, and help get this message and this podcast out there. And until next week, I'll see you.